In this segment of Suffolk Headlines, we celebrate Mr. Peanut's 100th birthday. The Suffolk Public Library, in partnership with the Suffolk Nansemond Historical Society, hosted Robert Slade, the nephew of Mr. Peanut's creator Antonio Gentile, at the historic Phillips Dawson House on Tuesday, July 12th. 100 years ago, the character known as Mr. Peanut was born. Antonio Gentile, a 14-year-old boy at the time, created the drawing, which later became Mr. Peanut. Slade talked about Gentile's interesting but relatively short life and his relationship with the Obasi family.
We're going to try to cover 2 or 3 themes today. I'm not here to present anything earth-shattering new that was the result of great research. I'm going to try to give you a perspective on Mr. Peanut, first of all, but mostly I'm going to try to give you an essence of our uncle. Our uncle was more than just the individual who drew the drawings for the contest in 1916. He was a fantastic individual, but his life story is relatively unknown. And then lastly, there's a bit of a thread between the Gentile family and the Obasis, and I want to try to highlight that relationship as well. Mr. Peanut helped define my uncle's life, but like I just indicated, he was more than just that 13-year-old boy. In 1916, there was a contest, and I say that as a fact, but there's no evidence of that. There's no written documentation. It has been questioned. Let me say this. There probably was a contest. Was it a formal contest? I don't think so. It may have been as simple as Mr. Obasi going to a school teacher and saying, you know, I'd like some ideas about how to come up with a trademark for my company. Realizing in 1916 that the company was very much in its infancy. They had only relocated, the company had only relocated here in 1914. So things were just beginning to happen. Here's a shot of the original drawing, some of the original drawings. There were actually 11 of them. They were done in pencil on school notebook paper. Now, if you remember back to when you were in school, I do, then you remember that grainy paper? Sometimes you had to write around the wood chips. Well, that's what these were. That paper was highly acidic. It doesn't stand the test of time. So when the drawings have passed through the ages, they have degraded quite a bit. So I had, my wife is a graphic designer, so I had her go back and trace the drawings so that you would have a better opportunity to see what they actually look like. This one over here is probably the clearest of the group. He's got his cane. He's identified as Mr. Peanut Planter from Virginia. The others are whimsical. Jumping over a scale. I love this one. I wish I knew what he was singing. And then what I call the bell ringer. And then the other 6. I thought the pixie shoes were a nice touch. Those are the 11 drawings that resulted from the contest. Now, according to lore, somebody did something with them. He was enhanced. Along came the monocle, the cane, the gloves, the spats, and all the trappings that go with it. But who did that? Again, there's no absolute evidence as to how that occurred. One theory, and it's Andrew Smith wrote about it in this book, was that the Planters Company engaged an advertising firm out of Chicago, and that a commercial artist by the name of Andrew Wallach was the one who made the upgrade to the images. That's one theory. I'm a little skeptical of that, and again, this is my personal opinion, because in this book he refers to my uncle not as Antonio, but as Anthony. If he'd researched it that closely, how did he miss the name? But anyway, a more local version of how Mr. Peanut got transformed revolves around a gentleman by the name of Frank Krize, K-R-I-Z-E. He worked for Planters up in Wilkes-Barre. He came down here to set up the printing department at Planters. He was also an illustrator. Regardless of who did it, The fact that Mr. Peanut ultimately became an icon in the advertising world has been recognized continuously over the years. And that's what Mr. Ovesey was trying to achieve. He was trying to achieve a distinction and something that people could hold on to and recognize as that trademark of his product.
Thanks for watching this segment of Suffolk Headlines.